Hey, this is the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, the world's greatest wrestling manager, if I do say so myself. And you're listening to the Interactive Interview. It's number one, baby.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Jimmy Hart. Jimmy, how you doing?
Man, I am doing fabulous. You know, last night we were here in Orlando, Florida for Hulk Hogan's daughter's birthday, Brooke Hogan. She turned 17 years old, and we spent the day at Universal Studios all day yesterday with a tour guide, and last night at the Palms, we had her birthday party.
Wow. Tremendous. How do you like her music so far?
Well, you know, I'll tell you what really happened. She's just signed on with Britney Spears' manager, and so the new tracks they're cutting now out in L.A. are just fabulous. I just got to hear a couple of them last night, so I think they've really got it's going to be really something very special coming out this summer. And, of course, the first month of July, the brand new Hogan Knows Best on VH1, the 9 episodes of that's going to be coming out, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Excellent.
You were recently inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame right around WrestleMania. How did you enjoy being honored for all your accomplishments to professional wrestling?
Well, you know what? It was so much fun because, number one, it was great to see Paul Orndorff again and the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov and Bob Orton Jr. and of course, Hulk and Piper. But, you know, it was great because, you know, everything I said, it came from my heart. There were so many people to thank for being up on that stage that night. Back in the 80s, it was like the who's who of wrestling. You know, any night I'd go into a dressing room, I'd see Andre the Giant playing cards with Arnold Skolin. You'd have the Honky Tonk Man in one corner tuning his guitar. Mm. You'd see the British Bulldogs feeding Matilda, Jake the Snake with Damien. And like I said, it was just, who would ever believe that you'd miss Nikolai Volkov singing the Russian national anthem?
Absolutely.
It was great to hear him do it.
You mentioned Paul Orndorff a few seconds ago. He was the only one who didn't get up to hug Hulk. Was there anything behind that, or you just wanted to sit down?
Well, you know, I think that you know, Paul through the years has had a lot of injuries and stuff, especially with WCW down there.
Yeah.
He was pile drived on his neck and everything else, and I think he's in a lot of pain. You know, I know it was hard for him to get up on the stage that night and just to sit very long in the chairs and everything, and he was next to me the whole time, so we had spoke earlier that day, but I don't think it was anything that really meant anything by it. I think it was just to, you know, with all the bumps he's taken through the years, you know, after a while, everything kind of takes toll on you.
The last TNA show that I went to was in around November, and I remember seeing you in the actual Universal Park promoting the event, and then before the show you came in and you gave the introduction. Are you still involved with TNA backstage?
Oh, absolutely. Well, really, just my thing is I do all the publicity for the guys up here in Orlando. When they got ready to leave the flea market in Nashville, where they were filming their TV down there at the old Nashville Fairgrounds, where we used to do our show years ago when I was with Memphis Wrestling back in the early days, back in the 80s, you know, when Jerry Jarrett ran everything, him and Jerry Lawler. We used to wrestle in the same building, and I think what they wanted to do was kind of get out of that weekly deal with the same people every week. So I called a friend of mine, Pam Waring, who kind of runs Universal up here, and got him in up here, and then a friend of mine named Sam Copeland got him on the Fox Sports Net. So it's kind of a marriage made in heaven. And so the deal was, asked me would I like to come up here and just do the publicity for them. So I've had a great time doing it. They've got a great product. A lot of the younger kids are just fabulous, you know, with AJ Styles and of course Christopher Daniels, and the list goes on and on. But I love the kids, man. When I was with WCW, I kind of put 3 count together and the Young Dragons, you know, back then. So you know, I always say the past is the future, but you really got to mix it in with a lot of the younger talent too to keep a future going.
Yeah. I've heard rumblings throughout, you know, the past years. TNA's expanded to a national pay-per-view market, and but nothing's really been said lately. You mentioned about bringing the product to a newer audience. Are we going to see TNA running house shows anytime in the future?
You know what? I really don't know, because my whole thing is, like I said, I just kind of do the publicity and stuff, and I'm not in the office, so I don't book or do TV or anything with the guys or try to manage or anything. But I'm sure they've got some plans that are going to be coming up pretty soon, hopefully, with some of the talent they've got. And, you know, they've used this past year, they've had Piper and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and Six Pac and Billy Gunn and of course Jeff Hardy and everything too. So they've got a really good variety to mix in with a lot of the younger talent.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they'll ever be able to compete with Vince?
Well, you know what? I don't. You know, like I said, I don't know. I don't know what they might be planning on this end, wanting to spend more money or maybe take it on the road. You know, I'm like you guys. You know, I think once you get your ratings where you really want them, and then pick out the areas where your ratings would do the best, and I think that would be where I would pinpoint going into to try some house show business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people don't realize, but I mean, when I was up at WrestleMania, you know, Vince has about 17 semi-trucks loaded with equipment and stuff, and my gosh, I mean, it's one of the greatest shows on earth. I mean, just what they have to take around the road, you know.
I mean, they have a floor of their entire complex, their offices, devoted entirely to production. So, I mean...
Well, you know, they really do, and like I said before, and when I was up there, too, I really wanted to thank everybody. I thank Kevin Dunn, who did the production work for all the years, and he made us look better sometimes than what we did. And, of course, I thank Mean Gene Okerlund, too, that, you know, back in our day, back in the 80s, we'd do 35, 40, 50 interviews every day, you know, when we were on the road doing our TV tapings and stuff. And you know, Mean Gene was always there with us if we stumbled or if we failed or, you know, our interviews wasn't up to par. You know, he'd always pick everybody up. And so it's just so many people, I think. You know, when I was with WCW, Eric Bischoff had given me a chance the last 8 months we were in business to run the Saturday night TV tapings.
Yep.
And I was thrilled to do that because it gave me a chance to use Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio and Chavo and Eddie Guerrero and Booker T and all the kids that are now up in New York. So it was a thrill for me to see all those guys.
Hmm. Now, there was supposedly a situation with you and Randy Savage in TNA where he was refusing to go to the ring if you were located anywhere near the go position.
I know it. No, you're right. I love you guys. You know what? The craziest thing happened. Randy came up, and the same day he came up, for some reason, Huck, his daughter, was up at that time doing some stuff with Lou Pearlman. So Huck just came by the show over there. I guess Randy probably thought, I'll call Huck or somebody to come up. But, I mean, I was in the park all day. And so what happened is I was back in the back. I think that's when Barons Bill Barons was running the back in the back on the far side where the baby faces come out. And so I was just sitting back there. Well, somehow or another, Randy was late going to the ring. I don't know if it's his fault or whatever the hell happened. So I think Randy thought that since I was back there, it was probably me doing that, which is ridiculous. I mean, why would I want to do anything that would mess the product up? Is that ridiculous? So I think he came up with some kind of deal that said he wanted a limousine to bring him, a white limousine, not black now, but a white limousine to bring him from Tampa, to drive him exclusively from Tampa up to Orlando. He had to have 2 bodyguards with him at all times, with walkie-talkies now, and Jimmy Hart could not be on the headsets. Well, I was never on the headsets in the first place, but everybody made such a joke of it. I mean, it was a funny thing. And then the funny thing came up. A week later, he comes back, sits down with the booking committee, and I guess he didn't like what they wanted to do, so he left anyhow. It was crazy. I mean, I wish I'd have put that in my book before my book came out, but unfortunately, all that happened after my book. But it was pretty bizarre. Oh God.
You've always been. A lot of people associate you as one of the best. As far as helping with the production of original wrestler theme songs. Obviously, you're involved in one that's very popular today, Shawn Michaels' Sexy Boy. There's been kind of a trend recently in WWE of using real artist songs as opposed to ones produced specifically for the superstars. Do you think that is in any way detrimental to the product?
Well, you know, I really don't know. I think it's all about making money. I think a lot of the money was made back when Jimmy Johnson was producing the albums and doing original songs. It was a great stream of money coming into WWE at the time. When you use other people's material, the other people have the publishing and have the writers. So the more airplay you get, the more money it really makes for the other people, not for the company.
Right.
So I know with WCW, we just sent WWE, I guess about 3 months ago, 102 of our songs that a friend of mine named Howard Helm, we wrote all of the stuff together, you know, Buff Bagwell stuff, the Wolf Pack by Nash and Hall, American Made by Huck.
Wow.
Just so many of the songs that we did, all the Nitro Girls things, and a lot of incidental stuff, but all together it's a little over 100-something songs that we just sent to them. So I heard there was talk they might be putting out a WCW Slash album back from the day that really never came out.
Wow.
But I know there's a lot of money made when you own publishing and writers. Boy, that's who really makes the money. So I think on that trilogy album, that I think we had about 7 songs on there. I think we had the songs we wrote. I think it was like Honky Tonk Man stuff. We wrote all of his stuff, and of course, $1 Million Man Deal, The Sexy Boy, Road to Destruction by the Hart Foundation. I can't remember all of them. Randy and Liz's wedding song, and we had about 7 on that. So I know that album made a lot of money for the company because everything was original.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember an angle going way back. I go way back as being a fan of yours. In Memphis wrestling, when you guys were doing the thing where you claimed that you performed the song Mental Health by Quiet Riot, Bang Your Head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually the theme song of the Legends of Wrestling game. It sounds like a new version when I played the game. Was that a newly recorded version of the song?
Well, you know what? We what happened was we did a lot of the stuff for the Legends of Wrestling before they went out of business. So, matter of fact, since you said that, I think there's a company that's looking to buying all that product back again because it really had a chance to get off the ground. But I always say that the past is still the future. You've got to definitely move, put a lot of younger talent in with it, of course, because, like I said, you need the younger talent to kind of mix it with some of the older stars and that can still go out and participate and work, of course, because you want to bring an audience in to watch the new product. But a lot of the music that we did for those guys was just some of the things that we had done earlier that year for some of the other companies.
I noticed that in the game they had like an instrumental of American Made and such, so it was pretty impressive.
Well, thank you very much. I've always had fun doing that stuff. I've never said we were the best, but I just like to do the songs that I thought fit some of the wrestlers when they went to the ring, and I'm very grateful that Vince and Shawn Michaels still play Sexy Boy.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think all of us here would agree that we like the original produced ones as opposed to, taking the artist material, because it just works so much better, I think.
Well, God, thank you for saying it.
No problem. Coming up in a few weeks is the draft lottery. That's become kind of a yearly thing for the WWE to kind of switch up talent between the two brands. And you ran the XWF at one point, and you've had some booking experience. So if you were in charge of one of the brands, what 5 superstars would you like to have on your brand?
Wow, boy, that's a very good question because I don't really have a chance sometimes to watch. When I was up there with New York, I had a chance to, before we came out and on the WrestleMania, I got to watch a lot of the matches, and they got some great talent up there. I'd have to really sit down. I wouldn't want to overnight make any judgments in who I'd like to have or not have. Myself personally, I always believed in this. I like if you were with somebody that, say, for 2 weeks outside the business, take them to eat, travel with them on the road, do interviews with them, do personal appearances with them. I like the guys that are more flamboyant and the guys that have a personality and they're really good to the fans that buy the tickets. Because you can learn so much about a person's character, and those are the guys that when I go out and do the personal appearances, if they do real well with the people, those are the guys that I'd like to come back and push because in the long run, I think they're going to be the ones that make you the money and cause less problems, I don't know Vince's talent that well for me to make any decisions. I know down here at Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, some of the kids I really like and I used in the park, of course, was the big Ryan Wilson. I used him a lot out here. I used a guy called Dallas. They changed his name to Lance Hoyt now. I think it might be his real name. But
do you know why they did that?
I'm sorry?
Do you know why they did that?
You know what? I really don't. I didn't even ask, didn't even think about it. But those kids, they had good size and everything, and both of them are speak very well, and they're both just, God, they're so good with the fans out there, And when we do a promotion at 6 a.m. in the morning, they were always there for me. If we were in the park all day, they never complained, never did it, And those are the guys I think you can really take and make some money out of because they're good kids, and they've got a good look.
Yeah, I think when you look back at all the successful periods of wrestling, like the 80s and the late 90s, the companies that were in charge had happy locker rooms. So,
that's true, too. And you know what? And like I said before, I was so grateful when we were up in New York because we were like a big fraternity. It was like, gosh, every day we were, we all traveled. We had 3 cities running a night, different crews in each city, and I mean, my gosh, like I said earlier, it was like the who's who of wrestling, just some of the biggest names in there. And at the time, we didn't realize how big the wrestling really was. We didn't have contracts back then. We had contracts, but they weren't guaranteed contracts, But the more you worked, the more you made. We didn't take days off. I mean, we'd work 35, 40 days at a time without even coming home for a day off, But that's how we made our living.
Well, that kind of leads us into our next question. You were promoting a show in which Curt Hennig had passed away at. We recently had the death of Chris Candido, and a lot of guys are dying before their time, which partly could be attributed to the travel schedule. Is there anything that wrestling can do to help decrease or curb this trend?
Well, I think on Chris's deal, from what I've heard and read, this was a blood clot, and my gosh, I mean, you just never know. And I was reading something about a blood clot the other day, and I mean, I didn't realize that if somebody came up to you and hit you on the arm and gave you a frog, like in high school used to be years ago, and all of a sudden it turned blue, that would by bruise, that could cause a blood clot. So anything can cause a blood clot on that. The Curt Hennig thing, it was one of the first shows I'd ever really put my name on running, and it was at the fair, and I brought different people in for it, and I just talked to Curt the night before, and I said, Curt, what song do you want to hear? He goes, I want to have Rap is Crap, the song that we did for him as the West Texas Redneck.
God, I love that song.
And you know what? He loved to sing. So, and when I did all the stuff, I'd bring him in the studio and really let the guys sing their stuff. So he loved it very much, and it was just a shock that day when I was over at the building getting everything ready, and when they called me and told me what happened, I was like, oh my God, I still, to this day, it's hard to believe any of that. But, I really don't know. It's just, I wish I had an answer for everything, but I really don't on that. And, you just never know. I mean, you can go and get an operation and something can happen to you, so it's just one of those things.
You mentioned Rap is Crap, and that was actually getting, to a degree, some airplay on country music stations and such. The joke that Bobby Heenan always says with us and everybody else is that if this was Vince, I mean, he'd play it up to the hilt, and because WCW just didn't seem to do anything with it. Do you think that WCW could have made more of the success of the Rap is Crap song?
Well, here's what happened on that. They were pushing Master P at the time.
Right.
And so I put the West Texas Redneck thing together because all the guys in it could work, number one, and all of them could talk, and it just really fit. And so I got a lot of heat over that at the time because we went down to New Orleans, and I think Master P came out, which was his hometown, and the people there booed him out of the building because they really liked the West Texas. So I remember them calling me in the office, going, Jimmy, you just killed Master P. And I said, well, hell, he's not a professional wrestler anyhow. I said, we should be promoting the guys that we've got here on the payroll. And so and that wasn't my fault the people booed him. Shit. So, but I thought that was pretty bizarre. But if they do release the WCW album, we'll have hopefully they'll put Rap is Crap and Busta Stuff and the Wolfpack song, and we got one of Honky over there when he was with us for a while, so I think it'll be a pretty interesting album. A lot of people don't know there's an album out now that a lot of people are starting to order from Hot Spots, which is out of the Carolinas, I believe. They got the album. It was an NWO album, and it was only in Japan.
I actually have that,
yeah. And so we did the whole thing. I used the tapes and stuff like it was a live audience with the Wolfpacks on there, but I had fun doing that. But it was just released. It did real well over there. It sold about 500,000 copies over in Japan.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. You'd think that they'd released the Wolfpack song in America when they were hot, because people really were into that song.
Well, what happened is Tommy Boy, they put everything on Tommy Boy, and I don't know what, we only had like 5 or 6 songs on it. The rest of them, what y'all guys said, they took name groups and put them on there. See, I'm like you on the group deal. If I'm going to buy something by Limp Bizkit or buy something by Guns N' Roses, I'd rather buy the whole album for $15 or $19 than to buy one song for them for $19.
Right.
Yeah.
Keeping with the trend in music, we talked a little bit earlier about Brooke Hogan and her involvement in music. What do you think she needs to do to kind of separate herself from the Britney Spears or Jessica Simpson kind of stereotyped sound and look?
Well, I think it's already happened for her with Britney being married now and having a kid. And, in this business, and of course Jessica Simpson being married, in this business of music, if you look back in the days, I'm really telling my age now, probably before you were born, but Bobby Sherman and David Cassidy and all those guys, as soon as they got married, Donny Osmond too, their careers died.
Yeah.
And that's what Jessica, since she's married, it kind of took her out of the limelight for the guys buying her records. Brittany is, of course, married and going to have a kid now. So that field right now, the only person that's got any kind of single out there that's doing anything is Kelly Clarkson. And so I think what's going to happen with Brooke, with the exposure her and her family are going to get off this VH1 stuff, I think it's really going to help tremendously letting people see that she's more than just a cute girl that can dance and sing and write music. And
she can play keyboard too, right?
Pardon?
She can play a keyboard too, right?
Oh my God, yeah. She plays guitar and keyboards and everything. And you know, she started 14, and Lou Pearlman, who was manager at the time, said, "Look, learn how to play an instrument, learn how to write your songs, go take dancing lessons." And for a whole year, she did that. And then when she came back, they couldn't believe it because she did it herself because she really wants to do it. You know.
Wow.
Speaking a little bit about. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Ashley Simpson experienced similar success with a reality-based show, so yeah, I'm sure that would do nothing but benefit her. But as far as staying on the Hogan namesake, what was your opinions on the huge reaction Hulk got at the Hall of Fame, and then subsequently his little run with Shawn Michaels on WWE programming?
Well, it's just like I've said before, the past is still the future if you do it the right way in some occasions, you know. And here's what I found out. Back in the 80s were very colorful.
Yeah.
Everybody had their own gimmick. You know, Hulk wore the red and yellow, and Jimmy Hart had the megaphone. Mr. Fuji had the cane. Bobby Heenan was the weasel. Big John Studd. Everybody, Honky Tonk Man had the guitar, but everybody was so colorful. It seems like we kind of stuck in the people's minds a little bit more. What we had to do our own interviews. You know, nobody wrote our scripts. You know, of course they would say, you got a 2-minute interview, and this is who you're going to be fighting. But everybody got to come up with your own deal.
Right.
And I think that's what makes everybody a little bit different now. And people kind of miss that maybe, you know.
Yeah, I hate the scripted ones.
But Hulk's deal was great. You know, they kept trying to tell the people, please be quiet, because we kept running out of time, and they had to call and get more time. And God bless the wrestling. I'm telling you, man, the fans, if they like you, they like it. If they don't, buddy, you can be shot out of a cannon and nobody cares.
We actually attended the Road to WrestleMania event here in Tempe, and one of the items on display, sticking with the whole colorful personality, was one of your jackets that was airbrushed that you had once wore to the ring. Where do you actually get those crazy jackets from?
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Out of all the stuff they could have taken on the road with them, I was so honored when I heard about them putting that jacket up there along with Andre the Giant's boots and Kurt Angle's singlet, and I think Triple H had a jacket in there too.
Yep.
I was thrilled. I mean, there were so many things they could take out with other people, and it really excited me. I did 3 days for them too at the Road to WrestleMania at Minneapolis, Minnesota, with Hillbilly Jim. So I had a chance to see that. But what happened was, once again, before you guys were born, but back in the day, we had a million-seller record called Keep On Dancing with a group called the Gentrys, and we toured with Dick Clark. Back then, Dick Clark would have 4 or 5 groups on a show back then. It was called the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars. Well, I remember one night we had Sonny and Cher, the Beach Boys were on the show, we were on the show, Chuck Berry, I can't think who else, but we had about a 10 or 12-day tour. But I remember the first night, he'd tell everybody to dress colorful and be yourself, because he always believed if you dress like the audience, then why in the heck would they pay any kind of money to see you? And I always remember that. So when I got into wrestling, I remembered what he said, because when we were up at the Beach Boys, they had the striped shirts on and the white pants. Sonny and Cher, look how crazy they used to dress. The Dave Clark 5 had the blue blazer jackets and stuff on. So we always dressed colorful too. But when I got into wrestling, I always felt like whoever I was going to manage, I'd like to kind of at least dress toward that gimmick. Honky Tonk Man, we had the musical notes. Hart Foundation, we had pink and black with the hearts.
Yeah.
And when I managed Terry Funk and Dory Funk, I kind of had the Western attire. The Nasty Boys, I had the helmet with the Nasty Boy stuff. So, and then I changed my megaphones to go with it too. But that's why we had all those things very colorful.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. I think when I look at the indies these days, I see a lot of guys wearing, like Bobby Heenan came on and told us this. They're wearing basketball jerseys and
baggy shorts.
Yeah, and jeans and stuff. And I'm 6'4", like 185 pounds, and these guys are shorter than me, wearing like the same stuff I would wear. So it doesn't make me go out and want to buy a ticket to see, just like you said, dressing exactly like the audience.
Well, perfect example. While I was at WrestleMania, I was going into the back to get something right before we went to the ring to be inducted. And when I cut through the room to get two of my jackets, there was a guy with a baseball cap sitting in there. And when I walked in, I had my Jimmy Hart jacket on, but I was going to take it up to Stephanie and say, look, I got two jackets here. I got the solid black Johnny Cash look, or I've got the Jimmy Hart look. And Stephanie said, I want you to be Jimmy Hart. So that was a great thing. Whatever they wanted me to go out to wear for that little induction, I would have wore. Mm-hmm. So I had my jacket ready for it. This was the day of WrestleMania, so I wanted to go to them first. But before I saw her, I'd cut through the thing. And when I walked in, this guy goes, oh, my God, Jimmy Hart, how you doing? And I went, oh, great. And he looked familiar, but I didn't know who he was. So I went and got my jacket out, and then the guy sitting down had a ball hat on, and he said, oh, my God. He goes, me and my dad used to watch you up around Massachusetts. I think he said somewhere up in Massachusetts. I don't know where now, but and we were talking. He said, you mind getting a picture with him? And I went, oh, my God. And when I got up, it was Adam Sandler and Rob Schneider.
Wow.
Well, I know it, and I know it. I like to faint it. I went, oh, my God, Adam, hey, how you doing? And he goes, we used to watch you all the time, my dad. I think when you and Honky Tonk Man came through there, we go get our tickets, and big fans. So took a picture with them, and I had Steve Taylor take a picture of me. And matter of fact, he just emailed it to me, so it turned out good. So, but you just never know who's a fan or not a fan, and it was just. But he remembered wearing the crazy jackets back then.
Yeah. Taylor's had a bunch of wrestlers in his movie, so yeah, that's really cool. Though.
As a matter of fact, he's got a movie coming out in a couple of weeks. It's going to have about 4 wrestlers in it. So yeah,
Kevin Nash is in it, Goldberg, and some of the other guys in it.
Isn't Austin in it? I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is. He sure is.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned the reality show several times. How big of a part will Jimmy Hart play in the show?
Well, as much as I could have got in it because I was doing the promotion and doing a million different things. Every 2 weeks I go to Memphis and we have our TV show down there that we do called Memphis Championship Wrestling. But with Jerry Lawler, it's on UPN 30 down there. And we've been doing great little ratings like 5.9s and 6.4s. And, it's the way wrestling used to be. It's a live show, and it's on, we filmed the first show live and then we taped the second show. But all the interviews are done by the desk, and we use some younger kids and some of the people like Coco Beware and Kamala and people like that too that people grew up on, but we have fun doing it. But the very first show, Knobs and myself are in, and then some of the other shows Knobs are in, some of the other shows I'm in, but I could only plug in when if I was in town, I would try to run by there and get a little bit of exposure in it. But I believe the first one that comes out, Knobs and I play a real good part in that one.
Isn't that what we believe? I think we've seen a clip for it. Do you actually follow Ron Brooke Hogan as she goes on one of her first dates?
Yes, we sure do. And you know what? I swear I've got to tell you this story. They had me dressed really nerdy. Not that I don't dress nerdy anyhow, but they had me, I don't do this, but I had black socks on and tennis shoes and like a long pants that came down by my knee and a flowery shirt and a Panama hat, right? Uh-huh. Other day in the park, I'm doing all the autographs. I swear I looked up, and here comes a guy with black socks, tennis shoes. I thought he was wearing my identical outfit they had me dressed in, so I said, well, maybe people do dress like that, but I thought that was really crazy when I saw the guy do that. But you know what? Let me say something about TNA, too, and Vince and those guys. Praise the Lord for people who love wrestling that Vince McMahon has kept this dream alive for going on 22 years. And praise the Lord, too, that Dixie Carter and Bob Carter are trying to start something else like Total Nonstop Action Wrestling to give the people an alternative. So my hat's off to all three of those people.
Absolutely. We can't thank you enough for your time, Mr. Hart, and it's always an honor to have you on the program. We've had you on about twice before, and anytime you have anything to promote, you're welcome to come back. And just so you know, we've also done a promotion for your book and given a couple away. So
God bless you. Thank you so much.
We do our best.
I wish we were on. If I'd have been with Vince or really trying to promote it heavily, I'm sure we'd have done. And not that it's not done well, but you've almost got to have that big marketing campaign. But you know what? We put it out just to let people read a story and know that what's in it's real. It's not knocking anybody, saying anything bad about anybody. Like I said before, I pinch myself every day and tell the whole world that I really get paid for doing this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, your item is actually when we say because we've got a few things we promote. Yours is always the first choice for everybody. If that
Well, God bless you guys. Well, thank y'all for just having all the different wrestlers on and keeping this thing going because, once the wrestling, it's the longest running soap opera ever. I think it's been in business about 60-something years now in some form or some way on some kind of TV through all the years. So thank you guys for loving it that much, man.
And thank you.
If you guys have any promotion you want to do for the upcoming reality show, yourself, Hogan, Knobs, and you guys are more than welcome to hook up with us, and we'll definitely get an interview going and help promote it.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, a couple of things, too. Don't forget now on the 14th, we've got the big pay-per-view coming up, for Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. It'll be at Universal Studios, so it's on In Demand, of course, but it'll be on the, I believe it's the 15th.
Yes.
It's a Sunday week, not this Sunday, but Sunday week coming up.
Yep.
So if y'all get a chance to tune in, it's going to be really, really good. I think the main event's going to be AJ Styles against Jeff Jarrett, I believe.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, that's always going to be, with those two guys, it's always going to be a good one.
They'll leave it in the ring. They'll leave it all out there, man. Well, we do appreciate it, and God bless, and stay tuned for more from the interactive interview. Thank you, sir.
Okay, love you guys.
Thank you very much, Jimmy.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the interactive interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special internet edition that will be live show styled of the interactive interview. Not on the Blaze 1260 AM. We return on May 24th with our live broadcast at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard, 10 p.m. for you on the East Coast. You can give us a call in, and you can win some tickets. We'll tell you about that more later in the show. During this show, though, we're being joined by both my partner, my boy, Chuck D.
He's everybody's boy.
And then, of course, there's Mr. Eric Clint.
What's up?
That was not as heartfelt as Chuck's.
Chuck.
No, not yet, no. So, Monday night, we had Monday Night Raw. It's a good spot for it. Of course, if this was WCW, they'd have Monday Night Raw on sometime on Thursday.
They actually did that one time where they had Nitro, and they had a huge marketing campaign. It was for the Superdome show, and it says, and this paper came out. It says, "Remember to check out." And most of the papers came out. They said, "Remember to check out Nitro tomorrow night." Unfortunately, the papers came out on Wednesday.
Awesome.
Well, they did that once before. Plus, in 1996, late 1996, they ran a USA Today paper advertisement, I should say. And in it, they said, with main event Vader versus Johnny B. Bad. I was thinking to myself, neither one of those guys are with the company anymore. So that was brilliant. Anyway, let's talk.
Guys, this week we had a match between, or a couple matches were announced. We had Christian and Ric Flair going one-on-one. We had a lingerie pillow fight between Christy and Candice Michelle, a favorite of the interactive interview, as well as the finals of the Gold Rush tournament between Edge and Kane. Raw started off, however, with Muhammad Hassan and Cesaro Daivari versus Christian and Shelton Benjamin.
Are they trying to find a new way to pronounce Hassan? Because I noticed that it was pronounced three different ways during the show. Example: Lillian Garcia does not say Hassan; she says Hassan. Lawler put the emphasis on the Hassan, I think is what he said. And JR said it the way we've known it's been said.
Hey, is Chris Kresge dead? I was watching a thing on MTV, and it says dedicated to the memory of our friend Chris Kresge.
He's booking tag matches in heaven right now.
Well, if anybody can check that up on IMDb sometime, maybe we can find out about it. But I thought there were some strong parts of Raw and some not so strong parts.
What did you think of the opening match?
What was that?
We just said it. Pay attention.
Was it Hassan and then?
Yes.
Oh, the ring action really didn't interest me too much.
No, it didn't. What did you think of what they did later on with Jericho when he stomped out of the ring and then, of course, had the backstage segment?
Well, I told you before I liked it. They're actually doing something with him, and it's actually something that kind of hits close to home. Obviously, anyone can tell that Jericho is obviously disenchanted with the business. Well, not the business, but just the way he's been treated by WWF. And they're kind of playing offsets by telling, it's just a wrestling match. if they go the whole 9 yards with it and actually decide to push him, which this is WWF, or WWE, so I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But if they do, he could make a nice top-tier heel. But they're probably not going to do that. But if they do, this could make for a nice heel turn down the road.
See, now I got to disagree with you guys. I actually liked the in-ring work in this match. I thought everyone gave it their all. Never ceased to be amazed by what Daivari can do in the ring. As when he first came into the WWE, I did not know he was actually a wrestler. So
someone doesn't watch the Super 8,
which is pretty much 95% of the wrestling audience.
Yeah, but nevertheless, and Hassan does well. Benjamin's a great worker, and I like Jericho. And even though he lost the match, like you said, it's going to be something good if they can get him over as a top heel.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
if they go with that.
If they go with it, unfortunately, I can see this, and that's why I don't get excited about it. I can see this being one of many ideas that they run that they just don't go all the way with.
Or even worse, they go all the way, but on a mid-card level, and you just see him as the heel to Shelton Benjamin, which doesn't get Benjamin any over more because he's beaten Jericho 1,000 times, and it doesn't help Jericho because Jericho's looking stupid in mid-card matches.
Well, next on Raw, we saw a little backstage segment with Tajiri and Chris Benoit that I personally thought was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, it was.
Yes. And he's smiling with those missing teeth, and that's the first time I ever really noticed that he was missing teeth.
Well, does anyone else find it odd that only Chris Benoit can understand what Tajiri's saying, and no one else is?
It's like Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Yeah. It was ridiculous.
Somebody's a Star Wars nerd.
Me. I thought the funniest thing was, it's common in wrestling, common technique for wrestlers is when they're saying that when the match is coming up, they're going to say, think about it, and then their hands go in the air, and it makes like a line where maybe text would be for the name, and they would say like Triple H and The Rock, and they put their hands up there. Some people are good at doing that, even though it's a ridiculous idea to begin with. Shawn Michaels comes off, and Eric Bischoff, on the top of my head, Vince too, obviously, are people who can do that, and it doesn't come off bad. But when Benoit did it, it looked like he was trying to do his crippler crossface signal, but his hand was just hurting, so he couldn't pull it back all the way. It just looked so wooden and bad, and I think we forget that how well, granted, Benoit's mic skills aren't as bad as they were a long time ago, but he's been protected very well, not having to do so many backstage segments, that we forget that when he's asked to do more than he can, it just comes off as ridiculous sometimes.
I'd have to agree, but I also figured out why Chris Benoit was able to understand Tajiri. Because those couple months that he spent in ECW, he learned the ECW dialect, and that's what Tajiri was speaking.
He was in there for 2 years.
Not really.
Yeah.
Off and on.
No, he was there for 2 years.
He was in there. Dude, I have the tape. He was in there off and on.
I understand when you say about Rey Mysterio, but Benoit was there from 93 to 95.
Yeah, off and on.
No, he was there.
He was not there.
Well,
and he was not there any time when Tajiri was there, which I find awkward as well.
Squabbling aside, we had Eric Bischoff in a segment next with a coach running in, screaming about the Chris Benoit and Tajiri segment that had just happened. But then Flair comes in. Flair makes a big fuss about Triple H being gone and how...
And his nose falls off.
Yeah. The fact that Bischoff needs to call Triple H and beg him to come back, blah, blah, blah. Then we see Flair end up leaving and going and confronting Batista, and which ended up being kind of an awkward segment in my thoughts. I don't know. It was okay. It wasn't great.
Well, it's telling the story where they're, I think, going to do what I think we discussed on our last live show, where probably Flair's going to somehow befriend Batista, and then when Triple H comes back, he's going to turn heel again, which we haven't seen before, and which will get him even more over, and the crowd will just be like, this is just repetitive and repetitive and repetitive. It's going to become like the old man that cried wolf.
Well, wasn't it difficult to sit there and actually watch Batista try to go, woo?
I mean, they're trying to go comedy route with Batista a little bit.
Batista, anything involving him in a backstage skit is hard to watch.
Like, you know, I get it.
The reason like Goldberg and to a lesser extent Brock Lesnar got over so well is because they weren't asked to do a bunch of stupid backstage skits. Goldberg went out there, destroyed people, and he got over doing it. And it wasn't until like a year into his first run that he got interview time. And quite frankly, that didn't enhance his character at all. Lesnar had Heyman talking for him, so while there was interview time, he wasn't doing it, and there weren't too many backstage skits for him.
I always wanted to be a wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And once again, that's why a lot of these monster type characters shouldn't be allowed to speak. It takes.
Give me
Goldberg.
It's like Ron Burgundy. You put the question mark on the teleprompter.
Yeah.
He'll read it.
Idiots, Lesnar will read anything you put out there.
Right. Fuck you, Cincinnati. Sorry. Is that what he said?
No, he said.
Don't say the F word.
Oh, but you can. No,
I'll clip it.
San Diego.
Okay.
F you. Go F yourself, San Diego.
He said go fuck yourselves, suckers.
Oh, that's real. Well, obviously, once again, we're not on live radio right now.
Yeah, so...
and if we were, we wouldn't be anyway, because we've just gotten thrown off the air.
Batista is not very good with backstage skits. People apparently are still in backstage areas, still think that this is the second coming of Austin and The Rock because he got a few 4.0 ratings, but the fact is, people say, yeah, he's got a lot of charisma. He connects with the crowd pretty well, but he doesn't have great mic skills. Simple as that.
Not very fluent. But up next, we had a little bit of in-ring matches here, something we haven't seen in about 20 minutes on the show. We had Ric Flair versus Christian, in which Christian actually jobbed Flair. This obviously pissed off your boy Chuck D, as I'm a Christian mark, if you will. And, they didn't even really showcase any of Christian's offensive abilities or anything. Basically, he went out there in 3 minutes, got beat by a roll-up, even after some Tyson Tomko interference, making Christian, one of their brightest superstars, look that much more weak.
Looking to a guy who has been past his prime for the past 15 years. And nobody wants to say that. I get heel hate on the internet for that. But
no, I agree. I thought you were going to follow it up with something.
I'm just thinking to myself, what are they thinking? That's all I could think.
Well, you'd think, any moron, any idiot. You don't even have to understand the wrestling business. You just have to say, people like this guy, they're cheering him, they're buying his merchandise, they're watching his segments, they're interested in him. So what do we do? Logic would say you push him higher and try to make more money off of the character. That's what logic would say. Logic doesn't say to job him to a 4,000-year-old man who looks like Emperor Palpatine, another Star Wars reference since we're heading into the opening day, who hasn't been able to work a match in 17 years. A lot of Flair marks are like, they're probably all saying all over the place that, maybe this is Flair's last run. No, Flair's last run legitimate last run was in 1996. I see no point of putting a tired old man over a young gun who's got a lot going for him right now.
I'll tell you what, I will not be as abrasive as you guys, but I'll say this. I could have understood if Flair went over in the Carolinas. I would have then been like, I get it. Okay, I understand. But to put him over in, where were they, Oklahoma or Omaha, Nebraska or something like that?
They're in Omaha, Nebraska.
Flair has no allegiance there. That wasn't even his territory, quote-unquote. And they still have him go over Christian.
It's closer to Canada.
And I'll tell you what, dude, I'm just reaching here. I'm saying if they were in Carolina, I'd let it slide. I'd still be pissed, but I'd let it slide. Is maybe some stretch of logic. But there is no stretch of logic here. It's just bullshit.
I hate
Flair has no business being in the ring, let alone beating a guy who is
supposedly going to.
We thought was going to go into a world title feud
with John Cena, but it's going to be hard to do that when he gets beat by Kane in the first round of the tournament, and then loses to Flair in 3 minutes.
I understand the Kane thing since they wanted to lead a thing in the end, but the Flair thing, what? It's just stupid.
He's being used as cannon fodder for Flair to go turn heel again.
This has been 3 weeks in a row now we've seen Christian lost. It's like the minute he got some fanfare on the internet, they pulled the plug on him. That's what it seems like to me.
It's funny. It's funny because I can understand when Triple H says stuff like, and I'm not blaming Triple H here, I'm just saying, Triple H will always say, you know, you can't wait around and let the office push you. You have to get a strap of rockets your back. Well, the thing that confuses me is when these guys do that, it's almost as if they cut the legs right out from underneath them. But I don't understand why. I can't. It's like there's no ulterior motive here that I can think of. I'm stretching.
The only thing that I can reach for maybe is that there's going to be a point in time here in the next week or two where we can see Christian say, you know what, Tomko, you don't solve shit for me, so I'm done with you. And then have him win a couple matches before he goes to SmackDown. That's the only angle I can kind of see. Granted, it's a weak angle, but yeah. I mean, at least it would be something.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that's in my mind. But I mean, this would never have happened. This kind of thing would never have happened in 1998 because, like, when a guy like The Rock or Steve Austin or Kane got hot, they're like, oh, let's go with this. Let's run with it. It seems like the creative team never runs with anything anymore.
Well, let's even make it, let's tell the whole story here. We're only talking about the Flair match itself. After the match, we had Christian and Tomko beat up Flair, only to get buried for a second time by Batista when he came out. So he was essentially buried twice on Monday night. And he still managed to have a good backstage segment, I'll give you, when he told the backstage reporting bimbo that, did you get your journalism degree from a box of Cocoa Puffs, which I thought was moderately funny.
The thing is, he's entertaining no matter what he does.
But, I mean, to have him buried twice in 2 nights just seems a little much.
Well, we'll see him get somewhere someday.
Hopefully.
What's next?
Well, I can't even go to the next thing. I just, as I'm thinking about this here.
Well, it seems like, James, that I've said that about D'Lo Brown in 1999. It seems like I said that in Monty Brown in late 2004. It seems I've said, it seems I said that about Billy Kidman in late 98. I don't know. I just get sick and tired of saying, oh, yeah, well, he'll be okay. Because, a lot of the time bad booking can kill a guy no matter how talented he is.
Can I go off topic for a second?
Sure.
I was just watching Invasion 2001 today. Don't ask me why, but I decided, well, I haven't seen this in a while. Let me see this. And I watched a decent match that Kidman put on between he and X-Pac.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, first of all, they looked pretty good in the ring together. And second of all, Kidman still was good in the ring. How come, first of all, why does he cut his hair? Because I think that hurts his look.
Yeah, it did.
Secondly, why the hell can't they do anything with him? He's such a good athlete. He's such a good wrestler. He has psychology in the ring. Why can't they do anything with this guy?
Well, I think that when they blew their chance with him in early '99, that was it.
That was WCW that did, but yes.
Yeah, but if I could go back off topic a bit, back to the Christian thing, I know it kind of beat us to death. We were just talking earlier in the show a little bit about, they think Batista's the next coming of Austin or The Rock. Well, in reality, Christian is going to be the closest thing that you have to either of those guys.
I don't think he's going to make it that high, but I do think he's probably more interesting than Batista is.
Well, he's more cut from the same cloth because he's a funny talker. He has an attitude about him. And, those are similar things that both Rock and Austin had.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm not really on the Christian thing anymore. This is a general thing about professional wrestling. Nobody, and this is the thing, nobody seems to think forward anymore in behind the scenes. It seems they're only thinking present day. I'd like to remind everybody where The Rock was in 1998. He was essentially a comedy character. He was very arrogant. He was very vulnerable at a lot of times, and his segments were mostly done for laugh value. But he took that comedic character, made it so entertaining, and when you add a bit of seriousness to that, you don't have to go like Dean Malenko with it, but if you just add a bit to it, give him some top tier wins, that goes from being comedy character to entertaining top-tier guy. Nobody seems to think they look at a guy like Christian and say, oh, yeah, but I can't see him ever going anywhere. I mean, they never look at somebody's potential. They're like, oh, this is where he is now. What if we took a look at Triple H in 95? I couldn't even see that guy being such a huge star as he is now. But I mean,
it looks like an almost completely different individual, too.
You have to look ahead, and it doesn't seem like they're ever doing that.
Well, I mean, when you look at Triple H in 95, he was a fairly skinny, fair-skinned guy. The only thing that stayed the same was the fact that he had long hair.
Yeah.
Now he's very muscular, and he's tan, and he looks a lot better. He looks more marketable.
But I think it's time to move on to the next match.
Yes, sir.
We had the ECW's rule match, which was Chris Benoit versus Tajiri. The match started out well. I like both workers, but the match obviously got stopped, a little early when Chris Benoit was about to do an excellent table spot, which I was hoping to see so desperately. And then Bischoff came out and interrupted him and made some comments regarding the ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view.
That was great. That was smart booking, very smart. The fact is, they're basically saying, you want to see hardcore wrestling, you buy this pay-per-view. That's smart marketing. That's a smart way to sell a pay-per-view. Make it exclusive. Make it something you can't see anywhere else. And I thought it was great how they did that. I thought it's great how, I believe a few weeks ago, James talked about how they need to make Bischoff such the authority figure and ECW such the rebel promotion. I think they're doing a fantastic job weaving that into the storylines.
I think so too, but I also think there's another element to it.
I think the fact that he stopped that match right before the table spot was great because they're promoting hardcore wrestling like this forbidden taboo type of thing and you're going to have to pay to see the ECW pay-per-view, and I think they're doing some smart booking regarding the pay-per-view.
I liked that part myself. The part I didn't like, I totally agree with what you just said. I didn't like the fact that Bischoff is now planting the seed for a Raw invasion on the ECW angle. I really don't want to see that. If I want to watch the ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view, I want to watch some ECW guys wrestle and wrestle the way they used to wrestle.
The only difficult problem with that, and this is what I was about to get to, and I appreciate what you just said, but, by the way, Chris Kresge, according to IMDb, is not dead. But
okay.
Just that's off topic. The fact is, TNA is not allowing them to use their ECW guys, which eliminates the idea of Raven and a couple other guys, Jerry Lynn, Shane Douglas, eliminates guys that were really big to the company from being there. And what you're stuck with is Chris Benoit, who I don't consider a full-time ECW prospect, in my opinion. He was there part-time. Chris Jericho, once again, part-time. He was TV champion, but he was still there part-time. Rey Mysterio, who was barely there at all. I mean, they're stuck with guys that were not really relevant or essential to the ECW product, which means that in order for it to work, they might have to mix.
All right, but you're missing a lot of people here. They have Nova. They have Juventud Guerrero. They have...
Juvi's going to do some ecstasy and dance naked for everybody.
I'm sure Mick Foley will make an appearance. Steve Austin will make an appearance. You also have...
I'm sorry, when I see Austin, I think WWF. I don't think ECW. That's like when they made Austin the leader of the Alliance.
Well, sure, nevertheless, he's still going to make an appearance, and, you know, we also have Rob Van Dam make an appearance. Taz is going to wrestle. We also have...
Taz is going to wrestle?
That's what I've been reading.
Al Snow says that he might not wrestle, and he might do color commentary. Al. Well.
We have Al Snow. We also have Lance Storm. We have Blue Meanie coming in.
There are some people...
You know what I think would be a smart decision, and a lot of talk on this pay-per-view always turns to the big-name guys. Like, it's like, oh, let's get RVD, let's get Taz. Why not grab some guys like C.W. Anderson and Chris Hamrick and a lot of the mid-carders that, although they weren't the big marquee names, they still say ECW. I mean, they feel ECW.
Well, I mean, you like the fact they're still going to have Nunzio and Blue Meanie and various others. They have enough of a roster. And some of
you say that, but who's going to main event? The only logical main event, based on what you said, would be Taz against Rhino, and that's if Rhino's going to be a part of it.
Well, Bam Bam Bigelow could be a part of it. They could do a rematch of the two.
Are they going to have Bam Bam on the show?
I don't see why they can't.
Well, if they ask him the job, he'll walk out.
Really?
He's done that in the past, yes.
Well, not for WWE, though.
Well, there's a reason he's not there.
Well, I don't know. He did job for LT.
Yeah, but they also paid him real well to do that. And they promised him a push, and he got it. He was in tag match.
And he did. He main evented one of the worst King of the Ring main events of all time.
A tag match, but him and Diesel against...
Tag match.
Was it Men on a Mission?
No, it was against Tatanka and, damn it.
Mabel?
Sid.
Sid, wow.
I mean, I don't know. There's still enough people out there. I don't think they need to do a Raw invasion. But,
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, when I think ECW, I have 5 names at the top of my head. I think Raven. I think Sandman. I'm not even sure if he's confirmed yet.
He is, I believe.
Yes, and Tommy Dreamer's confirmed.
That's good. Well, he works in the WWE offices anyway. That's good. He's a good name to get. I think Raven, I think Sandman, I think Francine, I think Shane Douglas, and who the hell else do I think? I think
I would put RVD up there.
And I think RVD. Those are the guys that were ECW, in my opinion.
Well, that's all open to variation. As you say, that's your opinion. I have a.
I think it hurts not having Douglas and Raven. I just think it definitely does.
I think having Raven hurts. Shane Douglas,
Shane Douglas, in my opinion, was the greatest ECW champion of all time.
Perhaps he was. But like the point I was trying to make was that ECW was many different things to many different people. A lot of people watched during many different times. It's not like something started. It slowly kept catching on to newer and newer people. People may not remember Shane Douglas as champion, to be quite honest with you.
See, I think he anchored one of the most important periods of their time, but I do want to...
well, first of all, he was TV champion for most of 1996 into 97. He was world champion almost all of 98. Maybe the entire 1998, actually.
Yeah, all of 98.
All of 98. He only lost it in early 99.
But for the casual fan, people remember RVD and Taz, simply because they're on the WWE and they've been talked about. Even on the rise and fall of ECW, do you hear a lot about Shane Douglas?
Yeah.
Well, that's partially why that's the negatives that I have about that. I think they did a fairly good job of it, but they left off Francine and they left off Shane Douglas, first of all because Tommy Dreamer's a scuzzbucket, and because Shane Douglas is not in good terms with Vince, and so they don't give the respect to Shane Douglas. They did do a section on him, but they didn't overly exude that. They didn't, say Shane Douglas was the greatest ECW champion of all time. They did not say that, and they probably
open to opinion. You can't say that he's the greatest ECW champion of all time. How can you substantiate that?
Well, he was the guy who started it.
I think it's like
technically, if you want to get right down to
consensus, like when you say Bruno was probably greatest WWF champion, you might say a lot of people think Flair for NWA. I think there's a consensus that Shane was the best ECW.
Well, we're only talking about 97, 98 there. Let's talk about when he first started. Shane Douglas started ECW. He won the belt, and he said he took the NWA championship belt. And he had the guts to say what I say now, and I still say. He won the NWA championship belt, and he said, this is a belt that means nothing because the company died, RIP, 7 years ago. And he threw it on the floor and says, I proclaim myself the ECW champion. That was unbelievable, unheard of. That pissed off Dennis Carluzzo, who was the NWA promoter at the time. That pissed off so many people, and it was a shoot. And that's what ECW stemmed from. It was legitimate, in-your-face style. Shane Douglas exemplified that.
I want to say one thing about the ECW pay-per-view. I think, although I don't like them, I think they have the most important part of ECW, and I think that's Paul Heyman.
Yes.
I think when you hear that voice on the commercials,
yes,
it just screams ECW, and there's a sense of identity there that you can't recreate with any amount of money.
Right.
It's just there. But I think that's very important to have. I think having Heyman is very helpful. I think Joey Styles will also add it. It kind of be like...
Is Joey going to be on it? I don't think Joey's on it.
See, the thing is, without Joey on it, I think that's like a Raw broadcast without Jim Ross.
Joey is on it.
He is?
He is.
Is that 100% confirmed?
That is 100% confirmed.
So it might be Joey and Al Snow doing color?
Granted, I know Gertner is doing stuff for like WEW, but man, they had some good chemistry together.
Yeah. Or Cyrus, Don Callis would be tremendous.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think he's a fantastic commentator, but
I think he would be somebody that if he worked there, he'd get a job immediately.
Yeah, well, I in my game where I booked the thing, Lawler quit, so I hired Callis, and my announcer ratings are even higher.
Right.
Well, let's go back to Raw.
Yes, because we got way off topic.
We're going to have a special ECW show before the pay-per-view where we'll dedicate probably a whole hour to the ECW pay-per-view. But up next, we had a pillow fight between Christy Hemme and Candice Michelle. Let's just say they all looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was good for what it was. It was for hot.
Tell you what though, when she ended up in that roll-up position, during that interview, I would not have minded ending up in that same position with Candice.
But next, I think we had the funniest segment of the evening with Viscera coming out. Granted, it went way too long.
Right.
but it still was funny, and I think we're going to see Viscera get over here. Maybe not for the long term, but for the short term.
This is the first time that this new Viscera character has actually gotten through to me. In the past, I was like, boy, it's creepy. This week, I think they did a little better because in the past, he seems almost rapist-like, the way he comes up to him and enforces himself. This way, he was presenting himself as kind of a comical character, kind of sweet-talking her, saying, here it is, if you want to come and get it, instead of, here I am, pushing himself, which I think makes a lot of viewers more comfortable with the character because he's not, pushing himself on someone.
And what made it good was the fact that Lillian Garcia, to some degree, almost seemed open to the whole idea.
Yeah, but I mean, and that was endearing, the fact that the woman was actually okay with it. I was actually watching Raw with a friend when this happened, and this is a guy who has not watched wrestling since the Boom period. Was actually very entertained by the Viscera segment, so that's a pretty much casual fan's opinion, right there.
I thought it was okay. Like I said, I thought it was okay. Just thought it went a little long. That's my opinion.
Yeah, okay. I think we're all in agreement on one smidge long.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Up next, we had Simon Dean and Maven versus Rosie and the Hurricane, the tag team champion.
I thought it sucked.
Stacy looked good.
Yeah, Stacy did look good. I don't really see her as a superhero. I thought that was kind of silly.
I thought it sucked.
Yeah,
the match was a little bland for my taste. I wouldn't say it sucked, but it didn't grab my attention.
It sucked like a whore wearing a superhero contest.
But up next...
Oh, yeah, thanks for being appropriate, asshole.
Up next, we had one of the bigger surprises of Raw, which there were, many good moments of Raw. We had Randy Orton come out to a pretty good face pop.
Looking skinny.
Well, people are talking.
No, Vince just seems to think that everybody has to be. He's like, well, earthquakes. Now there's a normal-sized wrestler.
Well, everyone makes a big deal out of this, and it was obviously not anything against Orton. Dude's injured. Enough said about that.
He didn't have. Well, I mean, if you're injured, you can't work out.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. At least he didn't come out with a freaking pot belly like Austin did.
Right, when he came out and he was huge, fat.
Yeah.
Right.
But I was really pleased to see Orton. I thought he was going to be a face, but he ended up actually getting some good heel heat. It was good to have him back. I'm a Orton fan myself.
And they're doing a good job teasing the draft, which I think they're personally on cruise control until they get there.
Well, I think, unfortunately, I wanted to see Edge and Batista at SummerSlam, and this isn't a bad backup, but I think we are building to an Orton-Batista SummerSlam main event. The thing is, a lot of people seem excited about a Orton-Cena feud. That doesn't excite me, really. Yeah. I'd rather see Christian Cena, really. I thought the segment was well done. Vince in small doses is very entertaining, as I said before, just every week. You can't take too much of them. But I thought it was well done. I thought Orton coming out to...
Up next on Raw, we had a Gold Rush Finals match, which was Kane going up against Christian. The match itself was kind of lackluster in my opinion. I know we obviously have spent a lot of time on the fact that Lita finally turned heel and joined Edge. I found this to be a huge slap in the face to Matt Hardy. I understand it was the only business decision that could have been made, but it didn't make it any easier to actually see this all play out.
Well, Matt Hardy actually commented on this. Did you guys see that?
I did see that.
No.
Matt Hardy commented on his website saying that he thought it was distasteful.
Well,
and it was. It really was. It's just business.
Well, it's about as distasteful as making the damn thing public in the first place. I'm sorry, but what the hell? Number one, the match was incidental to the thing, and in the end, I thought it was compelling television because for the first time in a long time, it struck a chord with people. And guess what? The line between kayfabe has once again been blurred.
Oh yeah, people hate Edge. People hate Lita, and it goes back to what I joked about a couple months ago when we discussed somebody that I used to know that used to say, well, there's good heels and there's bad heels, and the bad heels are people that people actually hate. No, they're still good heels, because if you actually hate them, they're inciting a reaction from you.
Ric Flair is a bad heel because you cheer him. There.
Right.
Anyway, but I thought it was compelling television. It was just, when you heard, it wasn't necessarily the loudest, but when the refs started counting for Kane as Edge, you could just feel the fact that everybody in that arena wanted to kick his ass. And, it was just so passionate And that's something that we've been missing in wrestling for a while. People are going to pay money to see Edge get his ass kicked. And in the end, that's how a heel draws money. And, that's really it. That's all there is to say.
And that kiss at the end, which I thought that was a little over the top.
JR had one of the best. I mean, he was so into it and just made everything, I think, complete with his calls.
A friend of mine, Albert, who also works over at the Blaze, always IMs me.
Is he hairy?
During Raw, and says things like, "Didn't Dad have a double meaning?" Things that Jim Ross says. And I remember at the end of Raw, he specifically said, "The things you do now are going to come back to haunt you later."
Right.
And it's like so prophetic to hear him say that, because it's like, Jim Ross understands that he has a job to do by calling this and calling it effectively, but he still manages to let people know that he and everyone else realizes that what Edge did was wrong and what Lita did was wrong.
Well, the best storylines in wrestling are the ones that straddle the line, no pun intended, of reality.
Speaking of straddle, she straddled Edge pretty good at that.
Yeah, that's why I always said no pun intended. The NWO. Some people, I mean, this was in the infancy of the internet, pretty much. And this is, people didn't know these guys were really from the WWF. I mean, a lot of marks and even some smarts were confused by that. They didn't know, and that was WCW versus the WWF.
And they also had the brilliance of, you didn't know if it was really a separate entity. And the other brilliance behind that is they had a separate 800 number if you wanted to order an NWO merchandise, which was, I thought, one of the most brilliant things they could have done.
The NWO, the fantastic angle. While Austin and McMahon, most people knew it was obviously fake, but the fact was, it was just so like,
it was real.
But this is my boss. This is me getting trashed at work.
I want to do this to my boss. I want to pour cement on my boss's car.
Who doesn't? The fact is, it's still, everyone's still got to feel bad for Matt Hardy in this situation.
Yes, I do.
It's no good, dude. I was thinking to myself, he's got to be sitting home watching this and just be sick.
Well, I said this to James earlier, and I'm not justifying anything anyone's done here. I don't know the details, but I will say this. Strong relationships don't end in affairs.
Perhaps.
Well, who knows? I mean, I don't think we're in any place just to justify that. I don't think we're. I don't know.
I'm not going to place judgment on any parties in this, because
all I know that this had to be done though because she was dragging Kane to be a heel because they hated her so much.
Yeah, but bottom line is though, from a television perspective, it was good TV. I'm not saying anything from personal, but it was entertaining. It was compelling television.
It had to be done. It was a business decision. It made good business sense. Enough said, right?
Yep. Well, this has been our Raw segment. We're going to go with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Hey, what's up? It's the ODC, and you're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio. Boom!
Jimmy Hart. Jimmy, how you doing?
Man, I am doing fabulous. Last night we were here in Orlando, Florida for Hulk Hogan's daughter's birthday, Brooke Hogan. She turned 17 years old, and we spent the day at Universal Studios all day yesterday with a tour guide, and last night at the Palms, we had her birthday party.
Wow. Tremendous. How do you like her music so far?
Well, I'll tell you what really happened. She's just signed on with Britney Spears' manager, and so the new tracks they're cutting now out in L.A. are just fabulous. I just got to hear a couple of them last night, so I think they've really got it's going to be really something very special coming out this summer. And, of course, the first month of July, the brand new Hogan Knows Best on VH1, the 9 episodes of that's going to be coming out, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Excellent.
You were recently inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame right around WrestleMania. How did you enjoy being honored for all your accomplishments to professional wrestling?
Well, you know what? It was so much fun because, number one, it was great to see Paul Orndorff again and the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov and Bob Orton Jr. and of course, Hulk and Piper. But, it was great because, everything I said, it came from my heart. There were so many people to thank for being up on that stage that night. Back in the 80s, it was like the who's who of wrestling. Any night I'd go into a dressing room, I'd see Andre the Giant playing cards with Oliver Skolin. You'd have the Honky Tonk Man in one corner tuning his guitar. You'd see the British Bulldogs feeding Matilda, Jake the Snake with Damien, and like I said, it was just, who would ever believe that you'd miss Nikolai Volkov singing the Russian national anthem?
Absolutely.
It was great to hear him do it.
You mentioned Paul Orndorff a few seconds ago. He was the only one who didn't get up to hug Hulk. Was there anything behind that, or you just wanted to sit down?
Well, I think that Paul through the years has had a lot of injuries and stuff, especially with WCW down there. He had was pile drived on his neck and everything else, and I think he's in a lot of pain. I know it was hard for him to get up on the stage that night and just to sit very long in the chairs and everything, and he was next to me the whole time, so we had spoke earlier that day, but I don't think it was anything that really meant anything by it. I think it was just to, with all the bumps he's taken through the years, after a while, everything kind of takes toll on you.
The last TNA show that I went to was in around November, and I remember seeing you in the actual Universal Park promoting the event, and then before the show you came in and you gave the introduction. Are you still involved with TNA backstage?
Oh, absolutely. Well, really, just my thing is I do all the publicity for the guys up here in Orlando. When they got ready to leave the flea market in Nashville, where they were filming their TV down there at the old Nashville fairgrounds, where we used to do our show years ago when I was with Memphis Wrestling back in the early days, back in the 80s. when Jerry Jarrett ran everything, him and Jerry Lawler. We used to wrestle in the same building, and I think what they wanted to do was kind of get out of that weekly deal with the same people every week. So I called a friend of mine, Pam Waring, who kind of runs Universal up here, and got him in up here, and then a friend of mine named Sam Copeland got him on Fox Sports Net. So it was kind of a marriage made in heaven. And so the deal was, asked me would I like to come up here and just do the publicity for them. So I've had a great time doing it. They've got a great product. A lot of the younger kids are just fabulous, with AJ Styles and of course Christopher Daniels, and the list goes on and on. But I love the kids, man. When I was with WCW, I kind of put 3 count together and the Young Dragons, back then. So I always say the past is the future, but you really got to mix it in with a lot of the younger talent too to keep a future going.
Yeah. I've heard rumblings throughout, the past years. TNA's expanded to a national pay-per-view market, and but nothing's really been said lately. You mentioned about bringing the product to a newer audience. Are we going to see TNA running house shows anytime in the future?
You know what? I really don't know, because my whole thing is, like I said, I just kind of do the publicity and stuff. And I'm not in the office, so I don't book or do TV or anything with the guys or try to manage or anything. But I'm sure they've got some plans that are going to be coming up pretty soon, hopefully, with some of the talent they've got. And, they've used this past year, they've had Piper and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and Six Pac and Billy Gunn and, of course, Jeff Hardy and everything, too. So they've got a really good variety to mix in with a lot of the younger talent.
Do you think they'll ever be able to compete with Vince?
Well, you know what? I don't. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know what they might be planning on this end, wanting to spend more money or maybe take it on the road. I'm like you guys. I think once you get your ratings where you really want them, and then pick out the areas where your ratings would do the best, and I think that would be where I would pinpoint going into to try some house show business. A lot of people don't realize, but I mean, when I was up at WrestleMania, Vince has about 17 semi-trucks loaded with equipment and stuff, and my gosh, it's one of the greatest shows on earth. I mean, just what they have to take around the road,
I mean, they have a floor of their entire complex, their offices, devoted entirely to production. So, I mean...
Well, they really do, and like I said before, and when I was up there, too, I really wanted to thank everybody. I think Kevin Dunn, who did the production work for all the years, that he made us look better sometimes than what we did, and of course I think Mean Gene Oakland, too, that, back in our day, back in the 80s, we'd do 35, 40, 50 interviews every day, when we were on the road doing our TV tapings and stuff, and Mean Gene was always there with us if we stumbled or if we failed or... our interviews wasn't up to par, he'd always pick everybody up. And so just so many people, I think, when I was with WCW, Eric Bischoff had given me a chance the last 8 months we were in business to run the Saturday night TV tapings.
Yep.
And I was thrilled to do that because it gave me a chance to use Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio and Chavo and Eddie Guerrero and Booker T and all the kids that are now up in New York. So it was a thrill for me to see all those guys.
Now, there was supposedly a situation with you and Randy Savage in TNA where he was refusing to go to the ring if you were located anywhere near the go position.
I know it. No, you're right. I love you guys. You know what? The craziest thing happened. Randy came up, and the same day he came up, for some reason, Huck's daughter was up at that time doing some stuff with Lou Pearlman. So Huck just came by the show over there. I guess Randy probably thought, I'll call Huck or somebody to come up. But, I mean, I was in the park all day. And so what happened is I was back in the back. I think that's when Bill Behrens was running the back in the back on the far side where the baby faces come out. And so I was just sitting back there. Well, somehow or another, Randy was late going to the ring. I don't know if it's his fault or whatever the hell happened. So I think Randy thought that since I was back there, it was probably me doing that, which is ridiculous. I mean, why would I want to do anything that would mess the product up? Is that ridiculous? So I think he came up with some kind of deal that said he wanted a limousine to bring him, a white limousine, not black now, but a white limousine to bring him from Tampa, to drive him exclusively from Tampa up to Orlando. He had to have 2 bodyguards with him at all times, with walkie-talkies now, and Jimmy Hart could not be on the headsets. Well, I was never on the headsets in the first place, but everybody made such a joke of it. I mean, it was a funny thing. And then the funny thing came up. A week later, he comes back, sits down with the booking committee, and I guess he didn't like what they wanted to do, so he left anyhow. It was crazy. I mean, I wish I'd have put that in my book before my book came out, but unfortunately, all that happened after my book. But it was pretty bizarre. Oh God.
You've always been. A lot of people associate you as one of the best. As far as helping with the production of original wrestler theme songs. Obviously, you're involved in one that's very popular today, Shawn Michaels' Sexy Boy. There's been kind of a trend recently in WWE of using real artist songs as opposed to ones produced specifically for the superstars. Do you think that is in any way detrimental to the product?
Well, I really don't know. I think it's all about making money. I think a lot of the money was made back when Jimmy Johnson was producing the albums and doing original songs. It was a great stream of money coming into WWE at the time. When you use other people's material, the other people have the publishing and have the writers. So the more airplay you get, the more money it really makes for the other people, not for the company. Right. So I know with WCW, we just sent WWE, I guess about 3 months ago, 102 of our songs that a friend of mine named Howard Helm, we wrote all of the stuff together, Buff Bagwell stuff, the Wolfpack by Nash and Hall, American Made by Huck.
Wow.
Just so many of the songs that we did, all the Nitro Girls things, and a lot of incidental stuff, but altogether it was a little over 100-something songs that we just sent to them. So I heard there was talk they might be putting out a WCW / album back from the day that really never came out.
Wow.
But I know there's a lot of money made when you own publishing and writers, boy, that's who really makes the money. So I think on that trilogy album, that I think we had about 7 songs on there. I think we had the songs we wrote. I think it was like Honky Tonk Man stuff. We wrote all of his stuff, and of course, $1 Million Man deal, The Sexy Boy, Road to Destruction by the Hart Foundation. I can't remember all of them. Randy and Liz's wedding song, and we had about 7 on that. So I know that album made a lot of money for the company because everything was original.
Yeah.
I remember an angle going way back. I go way back as being a fan of yours in Memphis wrestling when you guys were doing the thing where you claimed that you performed the song Mental Health by Quiet Riot. Bang Your Head. Yeah. That's actually the theme song of the Legends of Wrestling game. It sounds like a new version when I played the game. Was that a newly recorded version of the song?
Well, you know what? What happened was we did a lot of the stuff for the Legends of Wrestling before they went out of business. So, matter of fact, since you said that, I think there's a company that's looking to buying all that product back again because it really had a chance to get off the ground. But, I always say that the past is still the future. You've got to definitely move, put a lot of younger talent in with it, of course, because, like I said, you need the younger talent to kind of mix it with some of the older stars and that can still go out and participate and work, of course, because you want to bring an audience in to watch the new product. But a lot of the music that we did for those guys was just some of the things that we had done earlier that year for some of the other companies.
I noticed that in the game they had like an instrumental of American Made and such, so it was pretty impressive.
Well, thank you very much. I've always had fun doing that stuff. I've never said we were the best, but I just like to do the songs that I thought fit some of the wrestlers when they went to the ring, and I'm very grateful that Vince and Shawn Michaels still play Sexy Boy.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think all of us here would agree that we like the original produced ones as opposed to, like, you know, taking the artist material, because it just works so much better, I think.
Well, God, thank you for saying it.
No problem. Coming up in a few weeks is the draft lottery. That's become kind of a yearly thing for the WWE to kind of switch up talent between the two brands. And you ran the XWF at one point, and you know, you've had some booking experience. So if you were in charge of one of the brands, what 5 superstars would you like to have on your brand?
Wow, boy, that's a very good question, because I don't really have a chance sometimes to watch. You know, when I was up there with New York, I had a chance to, before we came out and on the WrestleMania, I got to watch a lot of the matches, and, you know, they got some great talent up there. I'd have to really sit down. I wouldn't want to overnight make any judgments in who I'd like to have or not have. You know, myself personally, I always believed in this. I like, if you were with somebody that, say for 2 weeks, outside the business, you know, take them to eat, travel with them on the road, do interviews with them, do personal appearances with them. I like the guys that are more flamboyant and the guys that have a personality and they're really good to the fans that buy the tickets. Because you can learn so much about a person's character, and those are the guys that when I go out and do the personal appearances, if they do real well with the people, those are the guys that I'd like to come back and push, because in the long run, I think they're going to be the ones that make you the money and cause less problems, you know. I don't know Vince's talent that well for me to make any decisions. I know down here at Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, some of the kids I really like and I used in the park, of course, was the big Ryan Wilson. I used him a lot out here. I used a guy called Dallas. They changed his name to Lance Hoyt now. I think it might be his real name. But
you know why they did that?
I'm sorry?
Do you know why they did that?
You know what? I really don't. I didn't even ask, didn't even think about it. But those kids, you know, they had good size and everything, and both of them are speak very well, and they're both just, God, they're so good with the fans out there, you know. And when we do a promotion at 6 a.m. in the morning, they were always there for me. If we were in the park all day, they never complained, never did it, you know. And those are the guys I think you can really take and make some money out of, because they're good kids, you know, and they've got a good look.
Yeah, I think when you look back at all the successful periods of wrestling, like the 80s and the late 90s, the companies that were in charge had happy locker rooms. So,
well, that's true, too. And you know what? And like I said before, I was so grateful when we were up in New York, because we were like a big fraternity, you know. It was like, gosh, every day we were, you know, we all traveled. You know, we had 3 cities running a night, different crews in each city, and I mean, my gosh, like I said earlier, it was like the who's who of wrestling, you know, just some of the biggest names in there. And at the time, we didn't realize how big the wrestling really was. You know, we didn't have contracts back then. We had contracts, but they weren't guaranteed contracts, excuse me. But the more you worked, the more you made. You know, we didn't take days off. I mean, we'd work 35, 40 days at a time without even coming home for a day off, you know. But that's how we made our living.
Well, that kind of leads us into our next question. You were promoting a show in which Curt Hennig had passed away at. We recently had the death of Chris Candido, and a lot of guys are dying before their time, which partly could be attributed to the travel schedule. Is there anything that wrestling can do to help decrease or curb this trend?
Well, I think on Chris's deal, from what I've heard and read, this was a blood clot, you know, and my gosh, I mean, you just never know. And I was reading something about a blood clot the other day, and I mean, I didn't realize that if somebody came up to you and hit you on the arm and gave you a frog, like in high school used to be years ago, you know, and all of a sudden it turned blue, that would by bruise, that could cause a blood clot. So anything can cause a blood clot on that. The Curt Hennig thing, it was one of the first shows I'd ever really put my name on running, and it was at the fair, and I brought different people in for it, and I just talked to Curt the night before, and I said, Curt, what song do you want to hear? He goes, I want to have Rap is Crap, the song that we did for him as the West Texas Redneck.
God, I love that song.
And you know what? He loves to sing. So, and when I did all the stuff, I'd bring him in the studio and really let the guys sing their stuff. So he loved it very much, and it was just a shock that day when I was over at the building getting everything ready, and when they called me and told me what happened, I was like, oh my God, I still, to this day, it's hard to believe any of that, you know, any of that. But, you know, I really don't know. You know, it's just, I wish I had an answer for everything, but I really don't on that. And you just never know. I mean, you can go and get an operation, and something can happen to you. So it's just one of those things.
You mentioned rap is crap, and that was actually getting, to a degree, some airplay on country music stations and such. The joke that Bobby Heenan always says with us and everybody else is that if this was Vince, I mean, he'd play it up to the hilt, and because WCW just didn't seem to do anything with it. Do you think that WCW could have made more of the success of the Rap is Crap song?
Well, here's what happened on that. They were pushing Master P at the time.
Right.
And so I put the West Texas Redneck thing together because all the guys in it could work, number one, and all of them could talk, and it just really fit. And so I got a lot of heat over that at the time because we went down to New Orleans, and I think Master P came out, which was his hometown, and the people there booed him out of the building because they really liked the West Texas. So I remember them calling me in the office going, "Jimmy, you just killed Master P." And I said, "Well, hell, he's not a professional wrestler anyhow." I said, "We should be promoting the guys that we've got here on the payroll." And so and it was my fault the people booed him. Shit. So, but I thought that was pretty bizarre. But if they do release the WCW album, we'll have hopefully they'll put Rap is Crap and Busta Stuff and the Wolfpack song, and we got one of Honky over there when he was with us for a while. So I think it'll be a pretty interesting album. A lot of people don't know there's an album out now that a lot of people are starting to order from Hot Spots, which is out of the Carolinas, I believe. They got the album. It was an NWO album, and it was only in Japan.
I actually have that,
yeah. And so we did the whole thing. I used the tapes and stuff like it was a live audience with the Wolfpacks on there, but I had fun doing that. But it was just released. It did real well over there. It sold about 500,000 copies over in Japan.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. You'd think that they'd released the Wolfpack song in America when they were hot, because people really were into that song.
Well, what happened is Tommy Boy, they put everything on Tommy Boy, and I don't know we only had like 5 or 6 songs on it. The rest of them, what y'all guys said, they took name groups and put them on there. See, I'm like you on the group deal. If I'm going to buy something by Limp Bizkit or buy something by Guns N' Roses, I'd rather buy the whole album for $15 or $19 than to buy one song for them for $19.
Right.
Yeah.
Keeping with the trend in music, we talked a little bit earlier about Brooke Hogan and her involvement in music. What do you think she needs to do to kind of separate herself from the Britney Spears or Jessica Simpson kind of stereotyped sound and look?
Well, I think it's already happened for her with Britney being married now and having a kid. And, in this business, and of course Jessica Simpson being married, in this business of music, if you look back in the days, I'm really telling my age now, probably before you were born, but Bobby Sherman and David Cassidy and all those guys, as soon as they got married, Donny Osmond too, their careers died.
Yeah.
And that's what Jessica, since she's married, it kind of took her out of the limelight for the guys buying her records. Britney is, of course, married and going to have a kid now. So that field right now, the only person that's got any kind of single out there that's doing anything is Kelly Clarkson. And so I think what's going to happen with Brooke, with the exposure her and her family are going to get off this VH1 stuff, I think it's really going to help tremendously letting people see that she's more than just a cute girl that can dance and sing and write music. And
she can play keyboard too, right?
Pardon?
She can play a keyboard too, right?
Oh my God, yeah. She plays guitar and keyboards and everything. And she started 14, and Lou Pearlman, who was manager at the time, said, "Look, learn how to play an instrument, learn how to write your songs, go take dancing lessons." And for a whole year, she did that. And then when she came back, they couldn't believe it because she did it herself because she really wants to do it.
Wow.
Speaking a little bit about. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Ashley Simpson experienced similar success with a reality-based show, so yeah, I'm sure that would do nothing but benefit her. But as far as staying on the Hogan namesake, what was your opinions on the huge reaction Hulk got at the Hall of Fame, and then subsequently his little run with Shawn Michaels on WWE programming?
Well, it's just like I've said before, the past is still the future if you do it the right way in some occasions, And here's what I found out. Back in the 80s were very colorful.
Yeah.
Everybody had their own gimmick. Hulk wore the red and yellow, and Jimmy Hart had the megaphone. Mr. Fuji had the king. Bobby Heenan was the weasel. Big John Studd, everybody, Honky Tonk Man hit the guitar, but everybody was so colorful. It seems like we kind of stuck into people's minds a little bit more. What we had to do our own interviews. Nobody wrote our scripts. Of course they would say, you got a 2-minute interview and this is who you're going to be fighting, but everybody got to come up with your own deal. And I think that's what makes everybody a little bit different now, and people kind of miss that maybe,
Yeah, I hate the scripted ones.
But Honky Hill was great. They kept trying to tell the people, please be quiet, because we kept running out of time, and they had to call and get more time. And God bless the wrestling. I'm telling you, man, the fans, if they like you, they like it. If they don't, buddy, you can be shot out of a cannon and nobody cares.
We actually attended the Road to WrestleMania event here in Tempe, and one of the items on display, sticking with the whole colorful personality, was one of your jackets that was airbrushed that you had once wore to the ring. Where do you actually get those crazy jackets from?
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Out of all the stuff they could have taken on the road with them, I was so honored when I heard about them putting that jacket up there along with Andre the Giant's boots and Kurt Angle's singlet, and I think Triple H had a jacket in there too.
Yep.
I was thrilled. I mean, there were so many things they could take out with other people, and it really excited me. I did 3 days for them too at the Road to WrestleMania at Minneapolis, Minnesota, with Hillbilly Jim. So I had a chance to see that. But what happened was, once again, before you guys were born, but back in the day, we had a million-seller record called Keep On Dancing with a group called the Gentrys, and we toured with Dick Clark. Back then, Dick Clark would have 4 or 5 groups on a show back then. It was called the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars. Well, I remember one night we had Sonny and Cher, the Beach Boys were on the show, we were on the show, Chuck Berry, I can't think who else, but we had about a 10 or 12-day tour. But I remember the first night, he'd tell everybody to dress colorful and be yourself, because he always believed if you dress like the audience, then why in the heck would they pay any kind of money to see you? Yeah. I always remember that. So when I got into wrestling, I remembered what he said, because when we were up at the Beach Boys, they had the striped shirts on and the white pants. Sonny and Cher, look how crazy they used to dress. The Dave Clark 5 had the blue blazer jackets and stuff on. So we always dressed colorful too. But when I got into wrestling, I always felt like whoever I was going to manage, I'd like to kind of at least dress toward that gimmick. Honky Tonk Man, we had the musical notes. Hart Foundation, we had pink and black with the hearts. Yeah. And when I managed Terry Funk and Dory Funk, I kind of had the Western attire. The Nasty Boys, I had the helmet with the Nasty Boy stuff. So, and then I changed my megaphones to go with it too. But that's why we had all those things very colorful.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. I think when I look at the indies these days, I see a lot of guys wearing, like Bobby Heenan came on and told us this. They're wearing basketball jerseys and
baggy shorts.
Yeah, and jeans and stuff. And I'm 6'4", like 185 pounds, and these guys are shorter than me, wearing like the same stuff I would wear. So it doesn't make me go out and want to buy a ticket to see, just like you said, dressing exactly like the audience.
Well, perfect example. While I was at WrestleMania, I was going into the back to get something right before we went to the ring to be inducted. And when I cut through the room to get 2 of my jackets, there was a guy with a baseball cap sitting in there. And when I walked in, I had my Jimmy Hart jacket on, but I was going to take it up to Stephanie and say, look, I got 2 jackets here. I got the solid black Johnny Cash look, or I've got the Jimmy Hart look. And Stephanie said, I want you to be Jimmy Hart. So that was a great thing. Whatever they wanted me to go out to wear for that little induction, I would have wore. Mm-hmm. So I had my jacket ready for it. This was the day of WrestleMania, so I wanted to go to them first. But before I saw her, I'd cut through the thing. And when I walked in, this guy goes, oh, my God, Jimmy Hart, how you doing? And I went, oh, great. And he looked familiar, but I didn't know who he was. So I went and got my jacket out, and then the guy sitting down had a ball hat on, and he said, oh, my God. He goes, me and my dad used to watch you up around Massachusetts. I think he said somewhere up in Massachusetts. I don't know where now, but and we were talking. He said, you mind getting a picture with him? And I went, oh, my God. And when I got up, it was Adam Sandler and Rob Schneider.
Wow.
Well, I know it, and I know it. I like to faint it. I went, oh, my God, Adam, hey, how you doing? And he goes, we used to watch you all the time, my dad. I think when you and Honky Tonk Man came through there, we go get our tickets, and big fans. So took a picture with him, and I had Steve Taylor take a picture of me. And matter of fact, he just emailed it to me, so it turned out good. So, but you just never know who's a fan or not a fan, and it was just, but he remembered wearing the crazy jackets back then.
Yeah. How? Bunch of wrestlers in his movie, so yeah, that's really cool. Though.
As a matter of fact, he's got It's got a movie coming out in a couple weeks. It's going to have about 4 wrestlers in it. So, yeah,
Kevin Nash is in it, Goldberg, and some of the other guys in it.
Isn't Austin in it, I think?
Yeah. Yeah, he really is. He sure is.
Well, you mentioned the reality show several times. How big of a part will Jimmy Hart play in the show?
Well, you know, as much as I could have got in it because I was doing the promotion and doing a million different things. You know, every 2 weeks I go to Memphis and we have our TV show down there that we do called Memphis Championship Wrestling. But with Jerry Lawler, it's on UPN 30 down there. And we've been doing great little ratings like 5.9s and 6.4s. And, you know, it's the way wrestling used to be. It's a live show and it's on, we filmed the first show live and then we taped the second show. But all the interviews are done by the desk and we use some younger kids and some of the people like Coco Beware and Kamala and people like that too that people grew up on, but we have fun doing it. But the very first show, Knobs and myself are in, and then some of the other shows Knobs are in, some of the other shows I'm in, but I could only plug in when if I was in town, I would try to run by there and get a little bit of exposure in it. But I believe the first one that comes out, Knobs and I play a real good part in that one.
Isn't that what we believe? I think we've seen a clip for it. Do you actually follow Ron Brooke Hogan as she goes on one of her first dates?
Yes, yeah, we sure do. And you know what? I swear I've got to tell you this story. They had me dress really nerdy. Not that I don't dress nerdy anyhow, but they had me, I don't do this, but I had black socks on and tennis shoes and like a long pants that came down by my knee and a flowery shirt and a Panama hat, right?
Uh-huh.
Other day in the park, I'm doing all the autographs. I swear I looked up and here comes a guy with black socks, tennis shoes. I thought he was wearing my identical outfit they had me dress in, so I said, well, maybe people do dress like that, but I thought that was really crazy when I saw the guy do that. But you know what, let me say something about TNA too, and Vince and those guys. Praise the Lord for people who love wrestling that Vince McMahon has kept this dream alive for going on 22 years, and praise the Lord too that Dixie Carter and Bob Carter are trying to start something else like Total Nonstop Action Wrestling to give the people an alternative. So my hat's off to all 3 of those people.
Absolutely. We can't thank you enough for your time, Mr. Hart, and it's always an honor to have you on the program. We've had you on about twice before, and anytime you have anything to promote, you're welcome to come back. And just so you know, we've also done a promotion for your book and given a couple away. So
God bless you. Thank you so much.
We do our best.
I wish we were on, if I'd have been with Vince or really trying to promote it heavily, I'm sure we'd have done, and not that it's not done well, you know, but you know, you've almost got to have that big marketing campaign. But you know what, we put it out just to let people read a story and know that what's in it's real. It's not knocking anybody, saying anything bad about anybody. Like I said before, I pinch myself every day and tell the whole world that I really get paid for doing this.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, your item is actually, when we say, you know, like, because we've got a few things we promote, yours is always the first choice for everybody, if that, you know.
Well, God bless you guys. Well, thank y'all for just having all the different wrestlers on and keeping this thing going because, you know, once the wrestling, you know, it's the longest running soap opera ever. I think it's been in business about 60-something years now in some form or some way on some kind of TV through all the years. So thank you guys for loving it that much, man.
And thank you.
You know, if you guys have any promotion you want to do for the upcoming reality show, yourself, Hogan, Knobs, and you guys are more than welcome to hook up with us, and we'll definitely get an interview going and help promote it.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, a couple of things, too. Don't forget now on the 14th, we've got the big pay-per-view coming up, you know, for Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. It'll be at Universal Studios, so it's on In Demand, of course, but it'll be on the, I believe it's the 15th.
Yes.
It's a Sunday week, not this Sunday, but Sunday week coming up.
Yep.
So if y'all get a chance to tune in, it's going to be really, really good. I think the main event's going to be AJ Styles against Jeff Jarrett, I believe.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, that's always going to be, with those two guys, you know, it's always going to be a good one.
They'll leave it in the ring. They'll leave it all out there, man. Well, we do appreciate it, and God bless, and stay tuned for more from the interactive interview. Thank you, sir.
Okay, love you guys.
Thank you very much, Jimmy.
Yo, maniacs, this is Hulk Hogan, the greatest of all time, and you're listening to The Blaze. So what you gonna do when Hulk Hogan in Blaze-a-Mania runs wild on you?
The internet, as we are off of live radio for a couple weeks here. We'll be back on live May 24th, so make sure you tune in for that. That'll be at 7 p.m.
What'd you think of the Jimmy interview?
What?
What'd you think of the Jimmy interview?
Jimmy interview was good.
Yeah.
He's always a blast to talk to. He's got a lot of good stories. A little surprised what he said about, you know, doing promotion for TNA around Universal Studios.
Let me ask you this, though. What'd you think of the song we played right at the end of that reminded people what he was talking about when he talked about Rap to Scrap? What'd you think of the Rap to Scrap song?
I thought Rap is Crap is a crappy song.
I think it's funny.
Yeah, it's got a good comedic value. I'll give him that.
Okay.
But let's move right along on the show here to SmackDown. SmackDown aired on May 12th, live from Reading, PA. And we started out by showing some clips of a confrontation between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, and Rey and Chavo's subsequent fight. And then we see Eddie Guerrero come out starting the show live with a mask of Rey Mysterio. He came out with new entrance music, a new attitude.
I don't like the new entrance either.
I thought the whole segment was great.
I don't like the new entrance music, though.
I thought it was creepy.
It fits with what's trying to happen here.
I think they're trying to turn him a little creepy, actually. But I didn't care for the music.
James doesn't like it because it's slightly related to hip-hop.
Well, aside from the music, I thought the segment itself was very good, man. Eddie Guerrero seemed more intense, like the Eddie Guerrero of old, than I've seen in quite some time.
I have to agree. I want to see what he can do in the ring as a heel. I want to see if the crowd goes with it as a heel in the ring.
They've been going with it so far.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to turn a fan favorite, who made a gimmick off of lying and cheating and stealing, being the pseudo-heel, to now being an actual heel. But
yes.
I think they've made strides in this character already. I know it's only been a week, but with the new entrance music, he's got a whole new outlook, a whole new attitude. I think it'll work.
It wasn't so long ago that people used to say, yeah, well, how are they going to turn X-Pac heel?
Huh. Right.
I mean, he had the Bronco Buster, he had the crotch chop, he was the plucky underdog. We all saw how that learned.
And people still hate him.
Yeah.
People still hate him.
Well, we had the first match.
And then Bobby Brady or Greg Brady or Peter Brady kicked his ass.
That's not true, dude.
Did anybody see this?
I'm sorry, but Peter Brady's or whatever Brady's in better shape than X-Pac.
Sure he is, but there was actually no physical altercation between the two.
There would have been.
I think, you know what we should do?
James, have you talked to Peter Brady, James?
I think we should call Peter Brady.
Well, maybe we'll do that.
And let me ask you this. If you're on the forums right now, here's a poll question for you. Submit this in your review of this show. Would you like us to interview Peter Brady?
We'll do it.
We will do it. We have his number. I'm not kidding. We have his number.
We're not normal.
We're not kidding.
No, I'm serious.
Peter Brady.
Well, we will call Peter Brady, and I guarantee you during that interview, about 100 times, you'll hear, da-da-da-da-da.
We're going to fuck up that interview so much.
Well, first match of the evening, we had John, or is that his name? Heidenreich? John Heidenreich?
We just call him Heidenreich now.
Yeah, well, whatever. Heidenreich versus Spike Dudley. Pretty much a squash match.
And Spike got the jobber entrance. Already in the ring, Spike Dudley.
We saw Heidenreich, do his little "I need a friend" kind of thing. He had a child come out of the crowd. He's getting over. That's great.
You guys might think I'm crazy. I think it's going to get over pretty big.
I'm a closet Heidenreich fan again. I think he's a terrible wrestler, but I like the gimmick.
I really think it's going to get over. You can hate me all you want. I think it's going to get over.
I don't hate you.
Up next, we had Eminem and Chavo Guerrero, ever the troublemaker. We're discussing in depth the change in Eddie Guerrero recently.
But he's got that crappy new song. I like him so too.
So, I mean, that was just not a whole lot to say about that segment. Then we saw Charmel making her way to Booker T's locker room to spike him up for his match against Kurt Angle.
Did she just get off TV?
Well, and then we actually had Josh Matthews interview Kurt Angle. And you can see right here what the problem with SmackDown is, as we just jumped through 3 separate promos in no logical order. We saw Josh Matthews interview Kurt Angle.
Is it just me, by the way, or does Josh Matthews look like Fry?
From Futurama?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how old the guy who does voices for Fry is?
Billy West.
Yes. Do you know how old he is?
40.
55.
Oh.
Then we had our second match of the night. I know we've talked a lot and only had 2 matches. We had Chavo Guerrero and Eminem taking on Paul Hunt and Charlie Haas and Hardcore Holly, with the winners being Chavo Guerrero and Mercury Nitro and Melina.
Yes, sir. I don't really have much to say about that match.
I agree.
Okay, we'll move on.
I do like Melina's entrance.
We had Jimmy.
Me too.
We had Jimmy Jacobs versus Eddie Guerrero as match number 3. Jimmy Jacobs actually won via DQ, believe it or not, as Eddie Guerrero, put on Rey Mysterio's mask and started to beat the hell out of Jimmy Jacobs.
Pretty creative. It goes towards the creepy thing.
Wow, it looks like we have two people on the phone right now who did not, in fact, watch SmackDown.
Why?
I only saw parts of it.
Why? Did that not happen?
No, it happened. It's just, we talked about Raw for a good half an hour. No,
I only saw a little bit of it.
I taped it. I have to say, I watched it, but I never have... Hey, wait a minute there. I taped the show. I taped all the shows. I watched it.
I just saw online clips.
And I fast-forwarded through it. But I'm telling you, I watched the show. I just don't have much to say about it.
Well, when I'm reading the Raw...
Eric, why are you laughing like a little girl?
When I read the Raw...
Because he got me.
When I read the Raw results, I had two people on the phone, and we were walking all over each other, trying to get our comments in. Now, it's just...
Get Carlito, and I'll start talking passionately.
Well, I'll continue on. We had Matt Morgan versus Funaki, with Matt Morgan getting the win.
That was an incredible match. That really warrants...
Okay, you want to talk about stupid? You got a guy who's about 7 feet tall and looks like a monster. What do you give him? A stuttering gimmick.
I think it's going to get over.
That's stupid. I think it's not going to get over because it's stupid.
Okay, and Doink the Clown was not stupid?
Not as a heel.
He was a heel.
No. As a heel, I think he could have been over because people are afraid of clowns. I don't know why that is, but some people find clowns...
Marty Reynolds says in his book, he's like, don't ask me why an evil clown in wrestling is cool, but a good clown isn't.
Well, nevertheless, I think Matt Morgan's going to get over. He's young. It's only his first gimmick, really. So we'll see what happens.
Plus, he could have been like a serial killer.
But
Doink the Clown.
As we talked
like, what would be the reasoning behind him wearing all the makeup and all that?
As you guys were waiting, we had Carlito's Cabana, where Carlito welcomed the Big Show.
A little bit rushed feud here.
Well, it's not rushed so much as they knew they were going to do it for like 8 weeks, and then they finally put it into motion 2 weeks before the pay-per-view.
Right. They have 2 shows to do it with, and they had a weird Carlos Cabana to start it out. I mean, it just doesn't do it for me.
Well, what I don't like about this feud is, A, it's been rushed. B, this can't be good for either of them. It's not good for Carlito to lose, and it's not going to be good for Big Show to lose. And
Carlito's got more upside than Big Show at this point.
Well, I agree with you, but it's not going to really help either of these guys. If Carlito...
I think it'll help Carlito.
It would help Carlito if he won.
Right. If he doesn't win, it's going to hurt him.
Right.
Yeah, agreed. But the fact is, he beat Hardcore Holly, but, I mean, the guy's only wrestled a few matches on WWE TV. I know, one win is over John Cena, but since then he's gotten his ass kicked about Cena like 4 times, so
let me try
he needs to win over a top superstar.
Let me try and break down.
And he needs a finisher.
What I'm thinking is, and just let me run right through this, if Carlito wins, it makes Big Show look very weak, because you got a guy who's only wrestled a few matches, who's known more as a comedy talker, beat him when he's lost, his last 3 title matches, as well as losing in a sumo wrestling match. But if Big Show wins, then, Carlito's getting all this airtime, and he is, getting over what he does. And then, he still goes and loses a big pay-per-view match. So I don't see a good outcome for either one of these guys.
Well, Big Show already lost to Zach Gowen, so if he can survive that, he can survive a loss to Carlito.
Well, perhaps that's the case, but it's still not good booking, in my opinion. I think there's a better...
Oh, it's SmackDown.
I really kind of actually liked both shows.
I don't care.
Well, I'll tell you.
I don't care!
Right. Apparently, James is raping a cat again. Well, let's move right on to the final last match here of SmackDown. We had Booker T versus Kurt Angle. The guys were getting into it. It went to a no contest as Booker...
Let's talk about the way this ended.
Well, I'm getting to that.
That's the most important part.
Right.
After the match...
Well, it wasn't even after the match. It was during the match. That's why it was no contest.
Okay.
Kurt Angle runs him back and does some things. I'm doing air quotes for all you people that can't see me. Does some things to Booker T's wife. Now, James, take it from here.
He locks himself in a room, and we're all led to assume that he basically rapes Charmel.
Yes!
We're getting back to stupidity here, folks. This is up there with that raping of the corpse.
Katie Vick, I screwed her brains out.
Hey, remember when Vince had DX rape Stephanie?
That is awesome.
They did?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that, but it sounds.
Who raped her?
DX.
Who was involved in that?
X-Pac, Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn.
That's just not good.
Well,
were they heels or faces at the time?
They were heels.
Okay.
Well, do you generally have faces?
But actually, you didn't actually see anything. But since we assumed Stephanie was in on the wedding, it was probably nothing happened.
Right.
Well, I'm assuming, James, you didn't like this angle then.
No, I don't like it. I don't like when they go too far. I don't like when they push the envelope too far. This is pushing the envelope.
I think the best way to get out of this is Booker. And this is, by the way, guys, this may offend some.
I think this. Here's what has to happen. Let me give my opinion first. I think Sharmell has to turn on Booker and join Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle has to cut a promo saying, "Once you go white, you think it's all right."
No, you gotta go. You think it's aight?
Okay.
But here's what I think needs to happen, and this may offend a few people, but I think Booker T has to come to the next SmackDown carrying the corpse of Sharmell.
Well, the scary thing is, as stupid as that sounds, I would not doubt it for a second.
It's almost been done. Reversed.
Yes.
The corpse had sex with him, but it was already dead.
Right.
Well, I don't think we're going to see that happening. I think this is going to be a quick feud. Last I read it, there's still plans for Heidenreich to kidnap Sharmell.
Really?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that turn him heel?
Well, I don't know. Sharmell doesn't really seem.
Wait, where do you read this stuff?
I read it at James Walsh's worldofwackybullshit.com.
What?
It'd be funny if that site was led by Ass Clown Cornwall.
Well, how about my other favorite character? Skullfucker McGee.
We're getting so low. Make sure we bleep this.
Okay.
Why? It's on the internet.
Yeah, but younger people may listen.
Yeah, well, they got to learn how to swear sometimes.
All right, next. What's up next? Was that the end of the show? I think that was the end of the show.
That was the end of the show.
Oh, well.
Good.
SmackDown overall.
Oh, that gets me in the mood. Nothing like an old rape angle.
SmackDown overall was
I thought it was okay.
Okay. Well, we're going to come back for a short segment as we're going to quickly, I mind you, cover Hard Justice and, of course, the recent release, which surprised the hell out of me before we got on the phone today.
This is Brett the Hitman Hart, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview.
Of our On the Air.
Before we got on the air, Chuck was making fun of James, and it was really funny.
Yeah, everybody makes fun of me, and one day I'm just going to go postal.
He was like, okay, here we go. 5, 4.
Which, by the way, I don't talk like that. I don't know why everybody gives me that voice.
2.
Anyway, guys, let's get right through this.
Yes, Hard Justice. But before we get there, why don't we talk about one thing that really pisses me off? And I have to get to this first, just because it's the first thing that's on my mind.
Let me just soften the blow for everybody. It's a firing, and it's Kid Cash's.
No, yeah. That pisses me off. No, seriously. They released Diamond Dallas Page.
DDP bang.
Yeah, they fired DDP.
They said bang.
Maybe that could be Donald Trump's next thing.
Jeff Jarrett said, DDP, can you feel the bang?
Why are you laughing so much today?
And DDP said, what does that mean? And he said, you're fired. You're fired.
Well, here's why it annoys me, guys.
James Walsh, you're fired.
Here's why it pissed me off, okay? DDP is an older guy that can actually still offer something. He offers name value. He's a legitimate superstar. And they release him because he won't do a job to Marty Brown.
And we like his wife. She's a great lady.
Yes, we do.
I liked her all night long.
Oh, we can't say that on the air.
You said cocksucker before. Please,
well, that's different. We had her on the air, and she's a great lady. She's a great friend of the show. We're not trying to bury people here unless we're talking about Barista Barber Beefcake.
Right.
One time you said to have James ask Scotty Too Hotty why he sucks so bad.
Well, I never said that. That's a lie.
Yeah,
No.
you
All right, let me repaint the story. Let me repaint the picture.
Yeah.
One of our first shows, I said, the Road to WrestleMania event's coming, and we could be a part of it. I don't know who will end up being there, but we could probably interview somebody. And I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it's somebody small like Scotty Too Hotty. And you said, like, you looked at me and you're like, we can ask him, why do you suck so bad? And you look like
This is what's happening. I'm getting over too huge on the net, so you guys are trying to bury me on the air.
No, you were kidding. You
hell up, Chuck.
You were.
Chuck D's getting over too big. You have to bury me now. I never said anything poor about Scotty Too Hotty or anyone.
That's like the disciple.
You did. Chuck,
All right, so what? I'm not a fan of Scotty Too Hotty. He sucks my balls. Are you happy?
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
Finally, Chuck D went back to his vulgar raps, and he's getting more fans that way.
Speaking of rap, I'll tell you what, John Cena's new CD is not half bad. I suggest some people check that out.
No, it's all bad.
And Chuck, it's all bad.
Dude, you can't say that. We're trying to get this guy on the air, man. Saying John Cena's CD sucks and Scotty Too Hotty.
I was kidding about John Cena's CD. You know that.
Oh, I'm just saying. We got to.
For a rap CD, it's fine, but I'm not a rap fan, so I don't feel it. I can't believe I just said that.
That was really clever.
Let's just start over.
Did you say I don't feel that? Yes. James is going straight.
Let's just start over with the TNA thing.
All right, I'm pissed off that DDP got released. What do you guys think?
I think it's a bad move. I think he's one of the bigger names that they had. He was always a joy to work. He's a great talker. I'd like to see him go back to the WWE, which I know is not going to happen, but I think he's a great guy.
I think it's a bad move because Page is a good guy and he can actually still work.
Right, and he has legitimate name recognition.
Yeah, he's been in movies. He's got a book coming out. I mean, he's got a lot of things coming out for him, and it doesn't make sense to take someone that's got a lot going for him and remove him from your company when you really don't have a lot of people that have much going for him. Maybe aside Kevin Nash, who's in a movie, but he's on the shelf with a knee injury, and he's filming another movie for the next 8 months, so you don't even really have him in the company at all.
All you really have...
I think one of the best things TNA has going for them right now is the fact that guys like... I heard this point on the internet the other day, and they were talking about how on paper the Nash-Jarrett match Against All Odds looked terrible, but it turned out to be one of the better matches of the year. And a lot of people think that was because they were on after, Styles and Daniels happened earlier in the card, and they didn't want to be outdone. And I think that's a good thing to have happen, that these guys are trying to top each other.
Which it is. And, also I just read yesterday that both AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels signed long-term contracts with TNA. So congratulations to them. That's a step in the right direction, but it may be too little too late.
Well, the biggest problem for TNA is they're focused in the South, and WWE has just opened the WWE Deep South territory, and you better believe that a lot of the prospects are going to pick to go to that developmental territory as opposed to TNA. So a lot of young guys are going to be scooped up by WWE.
Well, from what I understand, as a matter of fact, a lot of the developmental people that get deals with WWE are going to be making similar amounts to the lower carders in TNA.
Yep, and then of course they can potentially make massive amount of more money than TNA guys can.
TNA, there's a few stars that make a lot of money there, but if you're a low carder, you're not going to get that money. In the WWE, like you said, there's always a shot. Maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. But I mean, either way, you're going to go where you can at least have the opportunity. In TNA, you're not getting that opportunity.
No, you're not. That's my opinion. Does anybody have the Hard Justice results pulled up real quickly?
I can get them for you.
Well, why don't I pause that?
Hard Justice happened?
Yes. Yeah, that sounds fun. Well, we hope you enjoyed the internet version of the interactive interview this week. And as per the request, well, no, this wasn't test. We played Jimmy Hart this week. What should we play, Eric?
All right, what do I want to play? How about... I'm thinking a little bit of that.
Dr. Dre, bitches ain't shit.
No. Our viewers will cut off our heads. How about we get a little, let me look through my CDs right now. How about a little Quiet Riot? Mental health.
Bang your head?
Yeah, but the actual title is mental health.
Yes, but now they actually have to put it in parentheses, bang your head, because that's how people know it.
Yes, actually, that song sucks my balls.
Well, why don't we hear guys who have no musical talent?
Yeah, why don't we? I'd be open to that.
That was actually a funny response. But no rap. Sorry, Chucky's been overruled.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning of the show, we promised you an opportunity to win a prize, and here that opportunity is. If you would like tickets to go see Monday Night Raw at America West Arena in Phoenix, Arizona, all you have to do is listen to TII Live as we return to the radio on KASC, the Blaze 1260 AM, this coming Tuesday, May 24th. All you have to do is call in to 480-965-1260, and you'll walk away with 2 tickets to the June 20th edition of Monday Night Raw. In addition, you can also win tickets to go see Whitesnake with opening act Alter Bridge. Just call in 480-965-1260 between 7 and 8 p.m. on Tuesday, May 24th. It's banging time!